Warning: the following audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be suitable for a younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Chronic Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised.
Huh, that's weird. The music's not playing.
It is playing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we can hear it.
That's so weird. I can't. But as long as you can hear it, that's all that matters. Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting. Let me turn the loop off now then so it doesn't keep playing. I miss it.
Then we're just listening to it the whole time.
Right.
You can't hear it, so you're just like,
I wouldn't know.
That
And
was a
just
great
like music in
dream.
the background
Meanwhile,
the
the
entire
three
time.
of us are going slowly more into listening.
Like slowly slipping into insanity, hating the song after a while. Man, I can't even dance to it. That's weird. I need to figure out why that's not working. So we are Grown A Geeks. This is Weigh In Wednesday. You are awesome for being here. It is October 18th. We are still a part of spooky season, and we are trying to. We're happy to have the Coca-Cola Shark back with us, and Heroic Hat making his return as well. As always, got Jeff with me, who took a vacation last week. Did you have fun on your vacation, Jeff?
Yeah, it was great.
That sounds so enjoyable.
It was great.
It was great, Sam.
Very cool. Very cool. Where'd you go, if you don't mind?
I went to New York and hung out with my mom and some of my cousins and a friend who just had a baby. So
Nice.
we were up
There
there
you
for
go.
a few days, moving and shaking.
Okay. I was watching some of it on the story and trying to see what that was. I did see the your son got to hear the stories of how we were raised as children. And the look on his face, like, that really happened? Wow.
Yeah, I have very animated family members who know how to weave a tale.
Put a little fear in the little man, I think. He was like, he couldn't believe something like that actually happens. So yeah, it is October still, and I've actually found that I've been trying to get a little bit more into the horror genre. My wife actually likes watching scary movies and things like that. I myself am not a huge fan of scary movies, anything like that. So
Same.
it's a bit of a challenge. But she has gotten me to sit down and start watching a few more. So Linda, question for you, because I know you're a fan of horror films and such. The Goosebumps stories, those are supposed to be like kids horror, right?
It is. I never really got into Goosebumps because I just kind of skipped straight over kids horror and went straight into like horror.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think the closest I got to was the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which
All
I
right.
still think even now as an adult, the illustrations, at least the original ones, are just the creepiest things. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a kid's thing. Okay.
See, and she was watching when I came home today. She was actually watching on Disney Plus the Goosebump stories, and I sat in for a little bit and was kind of checking out what she was watching, and I was like, they're cussing, and that dude's hand is cut, and there's blood everywhere, and blood was creeping into the keyhole. Like, wait a minute, this is on
Yeah.
Disney?
Yeah, no, that's the same thing I said. I was
So I'm
watching
like-
it the other night.
I'm like, okay, I may have to check this out. And looks like there's a little bit of drama going on, and
I forget if it was Goosebumps or the Are You Afraid of the Dark, but I think it was Goosebumps. has something that's new actually on Hulu. I just remember having it flash up for a second, so I wouldn't be able to tell you too much about it. But it's a newer one at least, and maybe they're kind of going in that direction where it's growing up with the audience. Oh yeah, I'm done with Disney Plus too. I deleted my whole account. I didn't just cancel, I deleted the whole account. They're deciding to jack up prices. I'll torrent what I need, if I really want it, if I don't already own it or find it at a thrift store in DVD form.
Right. Everybody's raising their prices. I saw Netflix is going up again.
Yeah,
They'd already made the change with the plans and like their base plan, and I'm willing to go in for the plans that allow me to share passwords for people who are not here. Like if I have 6 users on my account, let my 6 users be whoever has a password, because I don't just frivolously give the passwords out to begin with. So let me do with my account. I'm paying my money. Leave me alone. And so that was my only real issue with that. But
And I mean, that's a more fair way, I think, of doing it too. You're paying for a certain number of people to use it. You can say like, oh well, on the higher end of a family, it's going to be like 6 people at most, maybe 4, and then say 4 different. You can have 4 different users for that
right,
account, and it doesn't matter where they are. Maybe give them like a iteration of your username that they use to log in, so they even have their own login. And that cracks down on the password without ticking people off too much. Like, especially if you have instances where uh, a kid lives in the household, goes off to college, and then comes back. Like, is not like they're not permanently living at college.
right.
They just go during semesters. But
I actually had that problem. My daughter was in Carrollton, and she was away at school. Like she would call me. She'd send me text messages actually. And she'd be like, "I need the code," because she was constantly having to log back in and authenticate that she was one of the home users because it showed it being connected at a different location. And I'm like, if she signed in with the username and password, leave it alone. But
No, give me money.
right, they want more money, and I'm paying the money, so leave it be.
No, I want more money.
And
They're
that's
just trying to protect you to make sure nobody's logging into your account to watch Leave It to Beaver.
But see,
they
the
might
crazy
mess
on your
up my
dime.
recommendations.
but the crazy thing is I've actually I've signed into my account at different times and saw like extra profiles that were created. So like somebody somewhere is like hacking in. So I've had to like repeatedly change the passwords and stuff like that because, and I hate to use the term hack, but somebody's like cracking the passcode. And they're probably
Have
just
you stayed logged in somewhere that was public, like you went to a hotel or something, or
and I'm okay. So this is what I do whenever we travel. I actually pay by Bitcoin. That's the way to do it. But no, what I actually do is when we travel and stuff, I take my own Roku. I have we have a travel Roku that we just take with us. So
David, we need to do that.
when I go to places, I just plug it into the HDMI port, connect to whatever Wi-Fi is available, and boom, I'm already logged into all of my stuff. I know, it tracks everything that I've been watching. And so if we sit down and we want to watch the next episode, we go right to the next episode. Where if we get an Airbnb somewhere and they have the smart TV, now I got to log back in, got to 2-factor authenticate that it's me logging in this remote location. Like you said, I don't want to forget to log out.
Yeah.
And then the next person show up and they've got free Netflix.
See,
David and
I are extra. We bring a whole laptop.
No, that was that was the way we used to do it.
So that's why I was saying, David, we need to get like a little Roku device. And I'm wanting to anyway for like the one non-smart TV we use. But yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you get like the little Roku Express. I want to say, not advertising for Roku specifically, but I want to say it's like $17 somewhere, and get one. It's small, just power, HDMI, and a remote, and you're good to go.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So what's this? 10 TV movies included called Apollo. I've not heard of Apollo. The last thing I heard of was my wife signed up for Philo at some point, and Philo was like $20 a month, had a bunch of cable channels available. And as a nice little segue to spooky season, I was actually happy when she signed up for Philo at the time because Interview with the Vampire had just hit AMC Plus, that series. And I was like, yes, now I can watch this.
Oh, the series, not the movie, right?
Right, the series.
Okay.
And it was on AMC Plus, and AMC was one of the channels included with Philo. So I was like, this will be really cool. And I looked at like the limitations of what they had and what was available. And I was like, we're not paying for this. No. So I watched one episode and then we canceled it. And when the next episode came around, I missed it. But now it's on HBO Max and I got a chance to watch the entire series. And it's so good. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. And I really like the way they did the story. And hey, what's up, Mark? I really like the way they did the story because in this, they take into account that it has been, a number of years since the original movie, Interview with the Vampire. And they're picking back up with the vampire Lewis, who was the one that gave the initial interview, and David Malloy, who he gives the interview with. And he's not really recanting his story, but he's admitting that the story he gave the first time was all like glitz and glamour, but now he's going to give the real story. And so they kind of recap everything that happens from the original series or the original movie or the books and whatnot. And I think they do a much better job of telling the story this time around, but they do bring in some new material because it plays off of what would have been the original interview. So very good, very vampire. There's plenty of vampire goodness that takes place. There's a lot of other stuff. So, brace yourself, understand that vampires are undead and they're no longer gender locked. They are very, very fluid with their feelings. And I mean, if you're going to live forever, you might get to experiment with some stuff. So I'm just throw it out like that.
So Sam, earlier you were saying you're not a horror guy, but I kind of have like looked at stuff that you talked about and stuff you're into. And I think it might be more like you're not like a slasher person. Because I feel like that's the thing that everybody wants to associate with horror movies first. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I am not a slasher person at all. But I'll do like Goosebumps, like that show Grim Fairy Tale. Like I'll watch stuff like that. I'll do like Twilight Zone where it's like weird or like some sort of like horror adaptation of like a children's story or something like that. But like I don't need to see people get their like Adam's apples yanked out and like I don't need to see people in like the concept of Saw is like dope
I do love Saw,
but I can't watch Saw.
I love Saw.
They don't get out the traps. So it's like
some of them do, and then others are rigged. So
yeah.
So that is accurate. And I think we've kind of talked about this before.
Because you like the American Horror Story as well.
Right. So. Like I definitely like themes, and I'm good with monsters. I'm good with like aliens. I'm good with essentially things that are scary. I don't care for jump scares. There's no need for any of that. But if you can build enough suspense around something happening.
So are you saying we're not having a Grown A Geeks Five Nights at Freddy's movie premiere event next week?
I mean,
David and I are dressing up.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not. I would go for the camaraderie of going with other people. Like I've been to the theater.
Y'all come meet with us at Movie Tavern because that's where we're gonna go.
Okay, we could. You know what? We may have to just create an event and see who we can get out for.
You can see David dressed up as Freddy Fazbear. He has a
I've
Freddy
seen
Fazbear onesie.
Freddy
You've seen it before. It's the same one. It's the same one. Except I also have a microphone that works that he can walk around with, and it'll play music,
Oh,
Bluetooth. So you could play the Freddy Fazbear music.
okay.
And I'm putting together kind of a ghetto glam rock chica costume. So
Okay.
not
Now,
quite
see,
normal
when we,
chica.
it's funny because we just saw the trailer for like we were watching something on Peacock, and we saw the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's, and Celeste made the joke. She's like, "Oh, that's your movie right there." And I was like, "No, I watched Willy's Wonderland. This movie has not come out yet." But because I watched that bad movie and actually kind of enjoyed it, I might be interested in seeing something like this. And I guess as I'm getting a little older, if the movie itself is good, I can be interested in it. You know, the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, like New Nightmare, Wes Craven's, I think it was New Nightmare. I enjoyed that one. You know what I'm saying? Like Freddy versus Jason, that was a laugh fest. I laughed the entire time. I don't think that was supposed to be taken seriously.
David, can I just say your stuff is super loud? Like every time you talk or make a noise, it's like blowing up in my headset.
Boom. No, it's just coming in stereo. But you know, I do enjoy, and this is again thanks to my wife because she has me watching all this stuff. But we watched House on Haunted Hill.
Hell no.
We watched, what was the one that came after House on Haunted Hill? Had like the same cast. Or no, the house, the Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill House, yeah, is ones that are all based off of that. There's quite a few because there's Haunting of Hill House,
That one.
House on Haunted Hill, but you have multiple versions and releases of that, including one from I think the 90s, which is the first one I had watched.
Now, I wouldn't go back and do those, but the ones that were just recently on Netflix, I did watch that.
The one from the 90s is no problem to get through, especially now. The special effects haven't really held up. It's more cheesy than anything else, but it's interesting.
Well, like I'll probably sit with the wife and we'll watch the House of Usher. So whatever series that has, the House of Usher, like that's what we've been watching.
Well, yeah, you didn't watch it, Lynn, because apparently it just came out. So I doubt you would have seen it already.
I've seen it like advertised on Netflix in the last month.
Yeah, I feel like it just like I think it was just this month or like last month or something like that.
So the new one is The Fall of the House of Usher.
Made a mental note.
And okay, so The Fall of the House of Usher, and see, it has Carla Gugino. And so let me see if I can get, it's part of the series.
Is that the next? That's the next iteration after the Bly Manor.
Yes, that's it, Bly Manor. So it was The Haunting of Hill House.
I need to tell Mom.
The Haunting of Bly Manor. We watched both of those, and Bly Manor was actually really good, but it wasn't designed for like jump scare. It was spooky. It was creepy.
Bly
and
Manor
psychological.
Hill House.
Agreed. I would definitely say that, but I also like that it's like the same character, and I guess that's why I could kind of get behind some of the American Horror Stories, because it's like the same characters in different roles, and they like different time periods, different genres, different themes, but it's the same cast, and it makes it feel like a like when you watch something, and this is completely different, but when you watch something like Mad TV or Saturday Night Live or something like that, where you have like, this is your cast, but they're doing all these different things. So it's like a bunch of scripted skits, if you will. And so they're like doing different horror skits. And I'm okay with that. But it's mostly about they're not banking on jump scares or, slashers and stuff like that. Because yeah, Michael Myers, like, what? You got to give me an explanation for Michael Myers. Like,
Never dies. Every time he's like, "Oh, he's dead for good." No, he's not.
No, give him a week. He'll be back.
Yeah. He'll figure it out.
Like, to me, I feel like it's like there's people who are just interested in seeing like all the ways you could come up with to just like kill people. And like I guess that's cool if you're into that.
Now, I
I'm
have to
not.
stop you and differentiate between something like Saw and something like Friday the 13th or the other slashers. Saw is not a slasher. So
Facts.
Saw is gore with a twist. It's a twisty gore.
See,
that's
and I can
fun on
do
more
the
than one level.
psychological horror that is involved with Saw because it's definitely like a very, very mental torture kind of thing.
Kind of, sorta. I
As
I
it's
just
added
recently
to
rewatched
being
all
more
the
and
Saw
more
movies.
gory.
It has an interesting storyline in the background, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a psychological thriller, because there's nothing difficult to think about at all. It just has a twist. It gives some sort of twist. It'll give you little clues, and once you've seen a bunch of the Saw movies, you'll start to pick up on these things. So, like whenever I saw Saw 10, I picked out. Oh, I
No,
can't
that
hear
fixed
myself
it.
now. Okay, that fixed it. Yay! I don't know what you
Yeah.
did, but now I
Well,
don't hear myself anymore.
oh, see, you can't hear you. I can't hear the music. We got audio things
You
happening.
said you muted yourself, David? Okay, David muted himself. That's why. Anyway, in Saw 10, I don't want to get a spoiler, but in Saw 10, if you are familiar and you've seen a lot of the Saw movies, you pay attention while you're watching them, and you see certain things where you're like, aha, like and you can try and predict some of the twists. Final Destination, another kind of gore movie with twists. So I put Saw and like Final Destination in the same kind of bracket compared to your slashers. Um, and I say the slashers are less like finding out different ways for people to die and more just cutting up people. It's boring.
Right.
To me, it's boring jump scare horror. Some people do like it. Cool. You can like it all you want. I like certain ones. I've seen some of them. I like certain ones better than others. Um, but overall, eh. Final Destination though, I love Final Destination. And that's why you'll notice a distinction there whenever I talk about something like Final Destinations and Saw versus like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Although I do like certain Nightmare on Elm Street films more than any of the Friday the 13th.
Right.
Yeah,
And of
Friday the
course,
13th and Halloween was never my thing.
Mm.
Freddy Krueger at least had like a little bit of a personality where you could be interested in him as the character versus like the big silent shadowy figure who is somehow slow but fast.
Right.
No,
Right.
I like this comment here. What would you give The Last Candyman? Unfortunately, I have not seen it yet. I meant
Really?
to, and I think, David, what was it, like COVID or something? What was going on during then? COVID, and David and I were working jobs that took us out of town for like weeks at a time. So obviously, I'd want to see it with him. It's one of the few horror things I could get him excited for, and but I do really like the original Candyman. So I am excited eventually to watch the newer one. I just haven't done it yet. Maybe that'll be something we do in this next week or so.
Now, Candyman falls into the category of things that, and we have to be careful because that's probably like twice now. Or is it just like the same person can't say it multiple times? I don't know the rules there. But that movie, I don't know, that kind of falls into that urban legend growing up that's always kind of. I watched the first one when I was younger, and it was just like, yep, I'm good. We're never doing this again.
Yeah.
And
Fun, yeah.
Like how the lady in the
Bloody
new
Mary.
trailer is when the dude is somebody saying his name and she's like,
right, like you know what I'm saying? It's like it's not a big deal. Say it twice. By that third time, we about to come to blows. It ain't that serious, but it is that serious. And so, it's just because Jordan Peele's attached to it and the cast, We got Yaya, we got Tiana. I would be interested in seeing it, but that would be like a 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday kind of watch.
Yep, need plenty of daylight when I get out of this theater.
You know what I'm saying? Like I need to be able to have like a lot of mental peace afterwards.
Have
And
the mirrors covered up in your house.
right, it's just like and the
That
thing
was me
is
when I
with
watched Orphan.
the thing is when I watch the scary movies, I can't be the type of person who has to like get fully invested in the whole like scary element. I don't need all that extra. We're not finna turn off all the lights and be in a pitch black room with the
Yeah.
volume up
Oh,
and
that's me though.
nah.
That's me all the way. No, I like this other comment here. I don't usually do horror movies. Either I laugh or get irritated how stupid people are. I feel you on that. There's a reason why a lot of my favorite horror movies are either funny, and usually not on purpose, uh, or are psychological thrillers because I love or have twists like I love the Saw movies.
Right.
It's because I love like it draws me in to try and figure out what's going on. It's not just something where I can turn my brain off and just let it float. I get bored. My brain doesn't want to float. It's trying to run at all times in different directions. So I need something that's going to keep my attention. Otherwise, I'm pulling out my phone and watching TikTok, or obviously before then pulling out my phone and doing literally anything else but being here and watching this movie. So yeah. Why did you drop the what? Why did
Exactly.
you trip? You tripped over nothing.
No.
Tripped over nothing.
I think horror movies for me, especially like a lot of the slasher flicks, are summed up best by that one Geico commercial where the four kids are like running and they go and they hide, and like the guy that's chasing them is like he's kind of far off, but he's walking that direction, and they're like, "Come on, guys, let's go get into the car that's running." And it's like, "Are you crazy? No, let's go back into the house." And then they go and
that's
they're like,
in this
me,
room
though.
full of chainsaws.
Let's go back in the house.
right, they're like hiding behind all the chainsaws, and the guy, like the villain, so to speak, he's just sitting there like, seriously, like exactly, like he rolls his eyes. It's like that's the feeling I have a lot of times when I'm watching slasher flicks, and I am definitely with that. Like I said, I can find some, especially now, like it's a lot easier to laugh at them and just be like, how could you be so silly? How could you be so stupid? Why would you do that? Exactly, you tripped over nothing. And exactly, that's probably the best parody of how a lot of horror movies fall into that category. Now, with
I remember that part. with
there's
Carmen
one
Electra.
movie, and somebody can help me out with this one because I can't remember the name of it. There's a movie where there's like a home invasion, and the lady that's in this house, why she's in this house by herself, you know what I'm saying? Like she's handy capable, so we give her credit for that. But I want to say the lady's deaf, and I think the movie might be called Hush or something like that. Um, but there's a home invasion. The lady's deaf, and she's like fighting back against against the person who's like broken into the home. And it's a very quiet movie, obviously, because of like trying to give you that same sensation that she experiences. When we take the perspective of the home invader, of course, he hears the sounds, and when he's walking, like she can't hear the footsteps and things like that. So every moment you're like, oh man, he's gonna get her. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? It does kind of have that tension is there, but it doesn't get you with like jump scares. It's kind of weird because like it has the jump scares, but they're practical jump scares, if that makes sense. They don't do it for the shock value to try to like
it would make sense with
right,
a
like
jump
you would
scare.
understand why that would be shocking because she can't hear to know that he's right there. So when she turns the corner and he turns around and see like, that moment where you jump. Cuz like with all the found footage films they tried to do for a little while, that was ridiculous. And though some of them, there was one where like they were of course, you have the first found footage, which was Blair Witch Project, and then there was another one where they like.
They did Cloverfield was a big one, or they tried to make it into a big one. And I don't know. I never cared for
What was the
Cloverfield.
one where like they were Paranormal Activity?
Oh, you know what? I really wanted just for shits and giggles, and I never bought it. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. I don't think so. I always wanted to get the stupid VR game on the PS4, and I saw it would like we get them all the time, just like one copy in, and then we'd sell it, and then like we get another copy, and it would sit for months, and then we'd sell it, and then they kept like, where are you getting all these copies of this game? And every time I was tempted, and I never picked it up. I will one day though, and maybe we'll stream it and see how bad it is.
Okay, and you say that's a VR game. What's it called?
It's after the thing you were just Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, it's just Paranormal Activity VR.
Huh.
It may have like another title after it. I forget what it is, but yeah, they had a VR game on the PS4 for Paranormal Activity.
Okay, that's whew. All right. Yeah, I remember when we watched, and that was like a Saturday afternoon, midday watch. My wife was watching it, and of course, I just went and sat down with her. That's really the only, like, I'm not going to actively walk to the television and put on a horror flick. That's not happening.
Well, yeah, you sit on the couch and you use the remote.
It's still not going to happen. Like, I won't be the one to initiate that. Usually, if I'm watching a horror film, my wife is already watching it, and I come in. If I come in and I start asking questions, who is that? What is that? Why are they doing this? I'll stick through, a few minutes. If it starts to get my attention or I'm curious as to what's going on, maybe I'll stick around and watch the movie. That was what happened with, and I'm not even sure which one it was, but it was one of the Paranormal Activities. And the people had just moved into this house. There was a VHS recorder. They found a videotape. He set up a tape in the kitchen. At some point, like the tablecloth raised up when he was not in the room, and when he came back in the room, like everything fell, and that was a big deal. And he ended up getting it on video, so he was now trying to show the wife, and it's one of those things where like he's clearly like, "Hey, we should probably go, not be in this house." And she was like, "No, this is my house and no one's going to run me out." And I'm like, see, that's why you should die, because when you do stuff like that, you're asking. Jeff, you're muted.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's like irreconcilable differences. I'm going to go. My lawyer will bring the papers. And that's just going to be it. Like, I'm not staying up in here with no ghosts. No, it's not happening.
Because now people download an app, you get the date and time, you dive. I mean, that was what. So you had. Now I will say they do a pretty good job with the trailers, because a lot of the new horror flicks that come out, and it seems like they can pump out 2 or 3 scary movies a year, and everyone is supposed to be scarier than the last. But like Smile was a big one. I don't know if it was good or not, but I know it got like a lot of attention. Happy Death Day. And that was kind of like Groundhog's Day, but in horror form, I believe. But
it was the one where the lady married into that family, and then they started playing hide and seek and trying to kill her. I forget what it was called.
See, and it's like you get into some of these, and I don't know. Okay, so
you know which one? Something I watched the other day.
What's that?
Not the other day. I watched it on a plane. What's that? I think it's called The Menu.
Oh, like okay. Yes.
People go to the island.
Yes.
And now, it's like, I don't know what that classifies. I guess that's more of a psychological thriller, because it's not like, I mean, people are dying throughout.
It actually lists that as a horror comedy.
Oh,
yeah,
comedy.
It does list it as a horror comedy. But I enjoyed that movie. That was a really good movie.
It was weird. That movie
was weird. It was very weird.
It was a good
But
concept. I feel like I don't know if they stuck the landing. I'm not buying the whole, well, I don't want to ruin it, but for me, it didn't stick the landing. And I'll
you know
leave it
what?
at that.
I think when you think of like celebrity chefs, which is what the like the main character from the menu, or one of the main characters from the menu, like obviously he's a celebrity chef that's very exclusive to go to this restaurant and eat this food and blah 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 blah. I love the character of Nicholas Holt in the movie because it's like I know that guy.
Yeah,
Um, you
we
know what I'm
all
saying?
know that guy.
Right, I know that guy, and so watching and seeing how everything goes through. He was the character I was waiting. I wanted to see his. I wanted to see what was going to happen. And then John Leguizamo, I wanted to see what was going to happen with him. And as you start to see and the pieces start kind of unfolding and whatnot, you get why it was such a big deal that this one person's here when everybody else was planned to be there, but she wasn't part of the plan. It does get a little far-fetched as a result, and there are moments where they start to lose you, and I can understand why you would say like not sure if they stuck the landing. I could definitely get that. um but at the same time, the ending, that was enjoyable. Like I like the way it wasn't chef's kiss enjoyable, but that was a like I did not see that coming. I could not have predicted that ending.
Yeah. Nah, I look at it and I'm like, all right, you got the concept. The concept is cool. Like you realize obviously long before these people do that, you know, they're not getting off this island. You know, that's a whole genre of every kind of movie. Like bro, it's basically Gilligan's Island, but everybody's the rich man and Marianne and basically the chef is like, I'm sick of, you know, it felt very what's the Korean movie? Um from a
So
few
you're
years
talking
ago.
Korean and horror, and you need to
It
narrow it
won
down a
like an
little bit.
Oscar. It won the Oscar.
Oh,
I think I know what you're talking about. Parasite.
Parasite, yeah.
David,
It
you
was
unmuted.
it kind of had that like this is a social commentary type thing that a lot of horror movies have, but I feel like just in like I feel like the writer decided that a certain person was going to survive. And I think that's the thing a lot of times with horror movies where it's just like I get why they have to kill all the black people first. Because if you don't, like people are getting out of there. It's like nobody like we're not going into the we're getting in the car and leaving. We're not going into the shed with 50,000 chainsaws already in there. Clearly something is afoot. You know what I'm saying? Even you watch something like Get Out, like everything is fairly normal, but as soon as like he realized his phone is off the charger, like the third time, it's like timeout. Like, I know I've been putting my phone on this charger. That means
right.
somebody coming in here taking my phone off the charger, even if it's just to use their phone. Like they should put my phone back on the charger when I come back. My phone should be on the charger. Like that's like something small enough. I feel like to where if you did any of the dumb stuff that some of these characters have done in horror movies, but the person was black people gonna be in the audience like, ain't no way. We not doing that. Like we
See,
not.
and I actually want
That's
to
why they had to
see.
kill Jada so early in Scream 2.
Right. Of course, at this point,
She'd have
I'm
brought down
beginning
the
to
whole
think.
investigation.
At this point, I'm kind of thinking like, maybe she might deserve a little bit of that now. But I don't need any more Jade on my timeline. There was enough Jade on my timeline to begin with, and now it's like,
Hey man,
David,
I have no
David's over
problems
there
with it.
just okay. So let's switch it off that topic and let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. So
5 nights.
okay, so okay, the movie comes out next Thursday. David and I have our tickets bought for 7 o'clock showing at Movie Tavern in Tucker. So if anyone is local or not, you want to fly in and meet us, sure.
Hey,
That's what we'll be there.
Do it big.
It's gonna be fun. Like I said, we're gonna be dressing up. So, fun fact about this. So even if you're not you're not sure, you're not really sure if it's gonna be good, maybe it's just gonna be pandering, whatever. Um, apparently there's no CGI in the whole thing. It's all done by puppetry by Jim Henson.
That
And
alone makes me feel like that'll be relatively creepy on its own.
I am so excited because his puppetry can be creepy without meaning to be. And
Right.
now it has to be like, okay, because they must know on some level how creepy some of their puppetry is. I've been to the Center for Puppetry Arts. I've seen the Jim Henson exhibit there. Okay, some of these boys are real creepy. But that's just why I like it. It's great. But yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I hope other people watch it and maybe we can talk about it. Or not necessarily about the movie as a whole, but maybe about the significance of it. And maybe a little I can learn you guys, or David and I actually, because David is a big fan of FNAF as well. He'll actively watches the game theory videos and the other little FNAF videos that I watch, and he's played the games with me. Um, so we can school you guys a thing or two on
So,
some FNAF.
so the concept of the game, is it just like a general survival horror game? Because like the basic outline
Yes.
is you're an employee, you get trapped in overnight and you have to make it till morning.
You're not trapped overnight, not initially. So for the initial games, David, you have to did you unmute yourself? Okay, David's just okay. So you and it goes a lot deeper, but I'm not going to go into the whole lore for everything. But you're a security guard working the night shift.
Okay.
So you're there of your own volition.
Okay.
And you're not even trying to make it 5 days. You just think this is your job. But you end up getting fired at the end of the 5 days. Spoiler alert for this 10-year-old game. And each game you play a security guard for the most part.
Okay.
It's not until Security Breach where you play as a child that you play as. Huh? Yeah, I know. I'm getting to that too. But I know, but that's like the really prevalent one. That's the one that I think has thrown people off from the security guard thing. So in 4, and that other thing, David, 4 theoretically never happened. So, or it was all inside the head of a kid who's in the hospital because of the bite. One of the bites. I don't know. I think it's the bite of 87, but I think there was a bite of 83 as well. So it's one of the bites, because this is not the one that Foxy did. This is the one that Freddy did. Springlock Freddy's. This is probably the bite of 83 if I'm trying to put my timeline together right. Y'all don't come at me. It's been a while since I brushed up on my FNAF lore. I actually kind of wish I had my favorite plush with me so I could show it off, because I tried not to collect too many FNAF things, but I did collect plushes. I allowed myself the plushes because we already were doing pops pretty big at the time. But anyway, so let's see. So 4, let's see, and then back with 3, you're a security guard. Sister location, you're a security guard. Its sister location to me is still very, very strange as far as how you get to it, how you get to the different rooms, and it's very. Those of you guys play it, you know what I'm talking about. There's just not a door leading to the next room. No, you got to climb through a little vent to get to. Okay.
So
the layout of 3 confuses me.
So with these games, you're playing the security guard. Mm-hmm. It is your job to be there overnight.
Yeah, that's your job.
So now that makes sense.
In Pizzeria Simulator, which is free, by the way, if you ever wanted to just check it out. And Pizzeria Simulator does it a little bit differently from the other FNAF games. Now, all of them have a little tweaks here and there, but Pizzeria Simulator really changed it up, where you have this 8-bit looking pizzaplex, just like the main floor, and I think it's 8-bit looking. maybe not. No, it's not. I'm thinking differently. My brain is just degrading it myself. Anyway, you
So
decorate
much
this whole
FNAF
thing.
to
So much
sift through.
FNAF. But you're building your own pizzeria, right? So you can buy like a stage, you can buy animatronics to go on the stage, you can buy like a little ball pit or like other little arcade machines, a little lemonade dispenser, things like that, right? And you have to earn money by, I believe it's by going, if I remember correctly, it's by surviving a night. And you still only have 5 nights. That's kind of the thing. It's 5 nights to start, but usually there's bonus levels. So it ends up going into 6, 7, 8 nights. But for this one, it's 5 nights. Now, at the end of your night, you end up finding a beat up animatronic just at your door, like your back door. So you bring it in, and
Nope.
you can choose.
So I
And
don't
that's-
do
You
that.
have
the
to.
problem.
You put it through diagnostics, and you can choose afterwards, if you survive the diagnostics, to keep it or scrap it. And if you keep it, you get a boost, a certain boost, but obviously now you have a murderous animatronic on the loose. If you lose it, then you lose that boost. You don't get that boost, but you don't have murderous animatronic. Now, if you let them in,
Let me
then
weigh these
whatever.
out.
If you
So,
let them in, then
wait.
while you're doing your security guard overnight, you'll have that animatronic you have to deal with now while you're trying to do your little your closeout paperwork and stuff. And it's
So I'm a security guard at Chuck E. Cheese, and a robot ends up on my back porch, and I'm like, let me run diagnostics.
yeah, because I mean, you don't have a lot of money. You could use this.
You know what I'm doing? I'm gonna take it down to Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, and you have to fight lawsuits too.
So just to chime in there, like the animatronics don't just show up at your door. Like they're placed there by your benefactor, or I don't know who the hell actually does it, but it's somebody who allowed you to run this place, drops it off at your door, and says you can either try to do the diagnostic to keep it in the business, or you can scrap it.
Now it's got to be
That robot
Afton.
state.
It's got to be
Right.
Afton, because that's the whole point of it, was to lure them to this area to set it on fire. Once again,
Okay.
Spoiler alert for
Okay.
an old game.
So let's.
Afton, the other guy.
No, they were trapping Afton there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about who was dropping the stuff off.
No, yeah, the other, not Afton, his partner, who killed himself but is not dead. He killed himself in the book. Although it's thought that he actually didn't kill himself, it was one of the animatronics killed him. And then he ends up. There's multiple books. They're canonically different as well. You have the Five Nights at Freddy's books. There's 3 of them, and then the Silver Eyes is the first one. A lot of people go by that for naming it. And then you have the Fazbear Frights, which is kind of like your Goosebumps short stories. There's 3 per. And I've kept up with most of them because I used to listen to audiobooks, especially during the pandemic, and made it through. They're such quick reads. They're like really small, but they're not super expensive. If you like Goosebumps, whatever, the stories in there are actually really good. And you get to learn a little bit more about the Five Nights at Freddy's universe and how everything works, and it introduces more stuff into the canon, and explains things into the canon that you wouldn't get just from the games. All these things are connected. There's even activity books that have lore in them that are connected that help give you pieces to what's going on. It's ridiculous. So
Okay, so
Is this a supernatural thing, or is this I'm
yes.
programming these robots to do this?
It started with
The answer is yes.
it started with just programming robots and being really
Mm.
clever, along with ghosts, essentially, because it's the souls of children are inhabiting the robots. And then it ended up getting more into a supernaturally type thing where you have the souls live within like the particles of the metal. Like you can't exorcise these ghosts. They're always trapped, and that's how you eventually you eventually come up with ones that have that are made up of an amalgamation of different souls because they're from different parts. And yeah, it's crazy. It's
Okay. No, I
confusing,
mean it's
but
No, it makes sense. There's a Gargoyles episode kind of like that.
like
yeah.
honestly, and given that I've watched Willy's Wonderland, so not a far like I can conceptualize
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
you're saying.
Where do you think they got it from? They claim they didn't, but I'm like, FNAF has been around for so
Like,
long. You
no, I
can't just
mean,
be like,
there's
oh no, I just came up with this. I just pulled it out my ass one day. No,
let
it
me tell
doesn't
you
work like
something.
that.
He wasn't paying attention when his kid was in the back talking about it, and he thought he came up with it on his own. That's the only way to explain that because there's no way. But what I guess in a sense I'm trying to make sense of some of the things you said and in terms of the gameplay. Now, since there's a lot of different games, it sounds like, and there's books and there's just a lot of story there. There's plenty to unload. But if we go with just I guess what would be the core of Five Nights at Freddy, you are a security guard working overnight. Is the objective to stay alive because these weird things are happening, or are you trying to not get killed by the animatronics? Both.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
So
and
you're trying to
your
do your job
normal
and
nightly
trying to stay alive.
routine is what you like. And I guess the simplest example I can think of is when you play Among Us. You have like little
You don't have
objectives you're
tasks to
trying to.
perform typically.
Okay,
Now you do in Pizzeria Simulator while you're trying to stay alive. And then obviously in the most recent one, the security breach is the first one where you're not just stationary and twisting, you're actually running around. Unless you want to count VR, the VR one, Help Wanted. I think that's what it was.
because again, it does just beg the question to be like, if I'm a security guard at Five Nights, or is the place? Well, the game is called Five Nights at Freddy's. What's the name of the place?
Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria.
Okay.
Well,
if I'm a
depends on the
security
game, but
guard,
usually Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria.
okay, no, that's official.
Because you
If
also
I'm a
have
security
you have
guard
like
at
Fazbear
Pizzeria,
Diner. You've got
Circus Baby.
Circus Baby. That's right. You have Circus Babies, Wonderland or something like that. I forget. So you have different
Pizza
locations.
Circus.
Pizza Circus. That's it. You have different locations, and that's where Sister Location came into play.
see, and
Which
it's
was
like
the
I
third
remember
one.
Showbiz Pizza and Sergeant Singers
I
and
remember
Chuck E.
Billy Bob's.
Cheese
You remember Billy
and
Bob's?
and Billy Bob's, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like I get that you're the security guard at this place.
You willingly come back every night after almost being murdered every night.
It seems like this would be a very short game because
There's a reason
I'm
for it though.
supposed to
'cause
just
you're
I'm supposed to like
David,
go and
do you want me
check
to
this
say or
place out
no?
overnight and be the
Do you want me to
security
say
guard.
about Michael?
Animatronics come to life.
Okay.
Guess what? We're not working there no more.
So you're not just any security guard. You're the son of the murderer. Spoiler alert, once again, for a very old game that we've figured out who Michael is. Michael Afton. William Afton is the bad guy. His soul resides in Springtrap because
That's the
he
duck?
used to use. No, that's not.
Can I say this?
Go ahead.
So William Afton had murdered 5 kids at this point?
I believe so.
Yeah. So he has murdered about 5 kids at this point, and for some reason decided to stuff the bodies in all of these animatronics. And the kids' souls didn't like that shit. So
You think?
yeah. So they possessed the animatronics and are just gonna decided to, hey, whoever is going to be in this pizzeria at night, we just gonna kill them because that's what happened to us, right? So
I mean, that seems fair.
after you play, I think it's 3 that you get the revelation.
Hey, but they don't go after children. That is the one thing. They don't go after kids. That's the one thing. Aside from whenever you are.
Oh yeah, no. Well, of course they don't go after kids. They go after adults because adults killed them. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember if it was 3 or 4 that you got the revelation that William Afton was the one that killed them and put them in the suits and all that.
It was 2.
But I'm talking about like when he when this part's coming, I'm about to say. But so it came to a head. The ghosts of the kids were kind of haunting him, and he went
that's
into
in 2.
that's in 2. Okay, so
Mhm.
he went into the back room to try to get away, and he saw this this spring lock suit that he could, he decided he was going to hide in it. Now, here's the thing with the spring lock suits.
I need everybody, those of you who are listening, I need you to see my face. What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hide in the suit. What?
Yeah.
I'll explain.
Okay.
With the
what
baby ghosts in
spring
it.
lock suit
Yeah.
is in a bit.
Yeah, so this. Well, I was about to go into the spring lock suits. I got you.
Okay.
Well, I've read the book, so I've read the description of how they
Okay.
work.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give my how I understand
ahead.
it works, and then you can fill in the blanks there. So the thing about the spring lock suits, as I understand it, is that you put it on and they kind of lock into place and everything, but the spring locks in the suits are sensitive. So if anything bigger than a bead of sweat drops on any one of these locks, that bitch is going to lock in even further and potentially kill the person inside. And that's what happened to William Afton. Sorry,
David, it's so much worse than that, though.
Oh, I know I'm oversimplifying the fuck out of it.
So
Yeah,
it's not just that it will kill them, because so the spring lock suits are special. They are meant to be worn, are meant to be either worn or just be able to walk around on their own. Now you might ask me, Linda, how does that work? Because how does a person fit inside with all those mechanisms in place, right? Oh, that's the beauty of it. That's where the spring lock comes into play. So they're these little tiny springy locks, and I think in the book, the main character finds one. She accidentally cuts herself on one, and it shows just how sharp they are, because she had locked it and it, like, she had touched it just the wrong way, and it sprung open on her and cut her. You open up the animatronic, and then you push back all of the pieces that let it function on its own, and they compress excuse me, into the sides of the suits, and then lock in with these spring locks. And then you get inside. But if you get hot and you drip a bead of sweat, or if you move and touch one the wrong way inside the suit, so you better hope you are a skinny old string bean that doesn't sweat, then it sets off and it does a chain reaction, and it'll set off every single spring lock, and all the pieces, the metal pieces that it's holding back, straight into your body. It's like that medieval, like, coffin trap.
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden. It's like an iron. But it's an Iron Maiden that deploys spikes.
So this somebody described it like this to me, and I was like, this is probably the most apt. Yeah. So
okay, wait. Before you explain this, I just need to. Okay.
And I'm going to explain why we're in this, by the way.
Wait a minute. Okay, I need you to, and I don't think there's a short answer to this, but what in the hell was happening with my man William Ashton where this was the better option?
Okay, now
look, if you've killed a bunch of kids and somehow their ghost just decided to show up, you're not thinking straight.
There's a reason for it, though.
That is a good answer.
Afton is one of the ones who helped design and make these suits. One of the two.
I know how to use this suit.
Now, that's the thing, though. He did know how to use it. How do you think he kidnapped all those kids before? He wore that suit to kidnap the kids. The ghosts of the kids coming in, scaring him, he's sweating, sets off the spring locks. But he got in it because he saw it as a safe option, as something that would be scary, or at least put him on the same playing field as the animatronics that are chasing him, or the ghosts that are chasing him. So that's why he hid. I think it's the ghost at that point. That's why he hid in the suit, because he thought it was a safe space for him, because he had used it so many times before with no problem, but didn't take into account, because of how scared he was, that he was sweating. So that's why he was in the suit.
Kids thought Freddy's Pizza was a safe place, and they ended up killing them. See, that's the metaphorical beauty of it all, Sam.
Apparently, there's also a time traveling ball pit.
All right. See, just when I think I'm caught up.
Don't ask about the time traveling ball pit. Just know that it exists. That's it. Don't worry about anything else.
It either teleports you like 20 years, 30 years in the future or 30 years in the past, depending on if you get into it in the 80s or in the 2020s or 2010s, however it is.
Don't ask too many questions about it.
Okay, so let's roll with it. Let's just focus on these spring lock suits for a second. Are these spring lock suits?
There's actually 2 of them.
Okay, so then that was what I was going to ask. Are these the animatronic designs that? Because when I just did a quick Google search of FNAF spring lock suit, bruh, this image is creepy.
Did you find Springtrap?
I did. I don't think that I looked specifically, but I am looking at this one.
You found Springtrap. It's the bunny.
Oh yeah, that's terrifying.
A Springtrap.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull this image up and see if this kind of highlights. Let me see. There we go. Open image in new tab. Make that full screen. Boom. Okay. I'm going to show this one image, and this is like, yeah. This is one of those things like, I need this, like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Why would I get in that?
Yeah,
that looks like an Iron Maiden. And
there's different forms of Springtrap as well.
So when I see that, and I'm looking at like all of the, because of course, like there's all these weird animatronics, and there's like all these different characters from Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's like there's 2 bears and 2 different rabbits, and all the rabbits are creepy looking. The rabbits are creepier looking than the bears.
Look up Glam Rock Chica, because that's who I'm going as.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ann. I'm not getting that. You can't. If I'm running from,
it's my time. It's my time.
Pretty much. Like if I find that I am running from the possessed animatronics, possessed by the spirits of the little kids that are unfortunate to come across my path.
This is just how I'm supposed to.
I'm not gonna make it worse by like you ran and he got into the room. Once he got into the room, just wait it out.
Like at this point, like any sane person to be like, okay, these kids look familiar. Yeah, I killed these kids. Yeah, you know what? I deserve this. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have the puppet.
Oh God, the puppet.
Okay, so Glam Rock Chica pulls up.
She eats garbage.
Yeah, she's all of them are creepy looking.
She's got teeth. Chica has actually got 2 sets of teeth if you look at the original Chica.
Is this a thing where they look different during the daytime and then they get scary looking?
No.
No, they look the exact same. It's just the lighting fucks it all.
Don't you remember going to a Showbiz Pizza or Billy Bob's and seeing how creepy the animatronics looked, even though it was during the day?
They didn't look creepy to me, but I get how some people. I remember other kids being scared of it, and I was like, some people think that's scary. It's clearly just little things going back and forth. But yeah, I can see how lighting would.
I think part of it for me is the fact that every time I'd go to Billy Bob's, my mom would take my brothers and I in the evening whenever they would have like cheaper prices or deals or whatever. And so the animatronics, the stage was never lit up. The area, the stage area was roped off. You couldn't get close to it. So you just see these dark, creepy animatronics in the background.
Hungover
really freaked me out. But like, I hated all of them.
I mean, this is like when people say they're afraid of clowns, and you see like, Bumpy, the goofy clown at the fair, and he's like making balloon animals and he looks like a hobo or something. You're like, how are people afraid of clowns? Then you see something like Pennywise and you're like, yeah, I get why people hate clowns. Like, I see why people are terrified of animatronics, because this thing is terrifying. Let me see if it lets me. Look at
Oh,
this.
no, it's fine.
No, I'm not going. If I'm
okay.
And he
if
hasn't
I'm
even
a
seen
milkman,
Springtrap or any variation of Springtrap at this point. This
Look at
shit's
those,
crazy.
Honestly, if you
rounded
take your
edges.
kids to eat pizza at a place with this thing on the stage,
exactly. That's my point. Like
we
we
need to
are
have
done
conversations.
here. We don't even get to see Springtrap because I'm like, yeah, we not staying here.
No, look, you need to look up Mangle. Oh, there's Mangle. I see Mangle.
Which one?
Top right. There it is. Click on it.
Man,
It's Mangle. He
Stop.
climbs around like on the ceiling and stuff.
See, Mangle looks
So-
like you know
I
what's
see
funny?
a nightmare animatronic.
Remember,
But no, say what you're gonna say, Sam, because I feel like you're gonna say what I was about to say here.
all of those characters. When you think back to Toy Story and the characters that were in like Buzz's room where he had like taken the toys apart and put them back together and stuff, this looks like something that came out of that. I don't want to see. Like, do y'all realize Mangle got two heads right here?
Okay, you weren't gonna say what I thought.
That's
you were
a
gonna say.
hand.
Here, so you want to know what
attached to
Mangle's
a
deal
neck.
is? You want to know what Mangle's deal is?
Mangle put himself back together, and I'm
No,
not okay with that.
no, he didn't actually. No, the kids did that.
Yes.
See, nope.
So Mangle is part of an experiment of letting
Okay.
kids try and build their own animatronics. So the kids are able to take it apart and put it back together again.
Mm-mm.
And
Y'all
that's
have fun
the
at this movie. Nope.
It probably won't have Mangle. It's most likely going to have the main four and then your Golden Freddy as well.
I mean, I will go see it because I got to see my boy Peter make it out alive at the end because you can't kill off Peter. You know, he survived the Hunger Games. He can handle some animatronics. But at the same time, it's like
He got carried in the Hunger Games.
hey, a win is a win. You know what I'm saying? He absolutely got carried, but he did his part. He threw a rock really far.
Oh, is that
You know.
Mr. Paint Myself Like a Log?
You know, he did his part. He did what had to be done. And you know, that just goes to show you how like everything is already scripted and it's all about the ratings. And never mind who she actually likes. We can sell this couple, so let's ship them and do this. I'm looking at these characters, man, like for real, and I'm just like, okay, I don't think I knew enough. And I've seen these characters in like little packages, and I used to sell these characters, and I could never understand. And of course, I didn't think anything of it because I'm like, you know, 8-year-olds are coming up and they're excited and they want
No,
to
Sam, you
get
should
this.
know better. You saw me all over that crap.
And I didn't put it together. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I see you all over Pokemon too. So you know, I don't know the level of. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait a minute.
mean, Pokemon lore get kind of crazy too. Like
Pokemon lore get kind of crazy. Like,
yeah, you ever read a Pokédex entry about Gengar?
Oh,
Like-
what about the balloon one?
Oh yeah, like anything on Drifbloom or Driflim or
My dog Cubone.
Cubone.
No, I do kind of wish that the FNAF movie was rated R, but I understand why they have it rated PG-13 because despite the fact that I will defend this until I'm dead, FNAF is not a kid's franchise.
Absolutely not.
Not when you
No.
get down, especially if you read the FNAF books, like the Fazbear Frights gets so gory and like the imagery is insane. I'm talking like someone saying that there's a candy version of themselves reaching up out of their mouth to climb up and turn their bodies inside out. Listen,
I should have got the Robbie one that says, "Don't let your kids watch for this episode."
it is it's not a kid's thing, but it would have been better, I think, if it would have been rated R. But there's also no need for like cursing and stuff, which I think is what probably would have popped it over the edge for that. And I can only see it being so gory, especially because I would say the games are not gory. The games are gory. It's just pixelated gore because it goes back and forth from like a more realism look to like an 8-bit game look. And so, like the scene where Afton gets killed in the Springlock suit is animated. It's in the game, but it's pixelated. It's like
A fountain,
fountain of blood.
basically.
Yes.
I mean, I will say that like there is something, there is absolutely something in our brains as humans that tells us cartoons and bright colors in cartoons is different. Because when you watch something like Invincible and then you watch something like The Boys, Invincible, because it's drawn, isn't as bad. Like I don't know why, but it's like that's not as bad. When you see it happen on like hell, everything that happens on The Boys, or any version of The Boys, whether it be this new Gen V, and I'm digging this show. I think I like Gen V. I
You
can't say
already know
more.
I'm on it.
I can't say more than The Boys, but I think the story is more compelling. It took a while to get there. With it was like, okay, we're gonna take down the Supes. How are we gonna do that? Okay, that's cool. Let's see some regular people fight some superheroes, and they're winning. Wait a minute, that's dope. But to see like how people actually, the pressure, and now that like, and it's really cool because these people here, these Gen V kids, this is like post announcement. Like they know about the formula. They know that they were given the formula as kids, and now they're just kind of reconciling it. They're enrolling in school. It's a whole new world for Vought, and I think that we wouldn't have Gen V if it weren't for The Boys. So I can't dismiss anything from that. But when you look at the violence that's in, when you look at the gore that's in The Boys and Gen V, even like some of the movies we were talking about earlier, Saw and the slasher flicks and this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Like let's see how creative we can get with, taking somebody's Adam apple and holding it up. That you get really graphic.
The Adam's apple is nothing compared to a specific trap in Saw 10. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. It is one of the only traps that has ever made me cringe the way I have watching her do this thing. And the bloodboarding was cool, but like this other part, and David, I've told David about it. I think I told you about it. I'd mentioned it in passing. It's bad. It's very bad. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who does like Saw and wants to see the movie still.
Okay, so don't spoil that. But it's like, again, when we watched Invincible and Omni-Man was holding Mark in front of an oncoming train, the sheer carnage from that scene.
Which just a quick side tangent on that. If you're playing Mortal Kombat, you're gonna see that a lot.
that is
see, that is something to talk about though. Is that something that we've gotten just desensitized to as far as pixelated graphics go? Because remember Mortal Kombat, since we were just talking about that, the original one having so much issue because it had pixelated blood in it. And even back then, it looked somewhat comical, but you still had people who were like shitting themselves over it for some reason.
Yeah.
And now everyone pretty much
able to
agrees
turn
that
the
it's
blood
laughable.
off. I remember being able to play the game and turn the blood off.
And thus helped spark all the rumors of all the kids saying, oh, in GTA, you can turn the violence off. You can turn the sex off. And
so I think what it is that we're not so much desensitized to pixelated gore as it's just comical at this point. Because like again, Mortal Kombat, like you pick up a character, say like you pick up Kung Lao, right? One of his fatalities is he just throws his hat out. It's a buzzsaw, and he just shoves your face into it. You're not gonna get a magical hat that's gonna spin in place in the air, so you can do like chop somebody's head in half like a buzzsaw. But like in The Boys, if somebody's moving fast enough, if somebody gets hit by a fast moving object, they're gonna turn into a fine mist. So that's a little bit more off-putting than like getting ripped in half by like a 4-armed dude.
There's definitely the fantasy element, and it's funny because I use my wife as she's the gauge by which I determine how violent or how gory something is, because like my wife had a very hard time watching the John Wick series. Like, to her it was too violent. It was too much. And I'm thinking to myself, like, most of these people, like, there's a couple of like individual kills that are like a little like, ugh, like you could feel those and like, ooh, that was tough. But I don't feel like anything was just over the top too much. And yet she can't, like, no, we're not doing that. But like you said, she can sit right here while we're playing a video game, and it doesn't matter what's happening on the video game. It is like, because it doesn't have that simulation of reality in her head, like she's able to put the fantasy element on top of what she's seeing, and it does make it less graphic, if you will. It does make it a bit more comical. Like I said, you throw some bright colors around some stuff and you can tolerate it a little bit better. But if you take
That's why I
Nicolas
wear bright
Cage
colors all the time.
stop it.
Here I
But
am,
it's
I'm like
like
Freddy Krueger.
you take something like a dark tone, like any kind of like Bloomhouse film, you know what I'm saying? And it's like everything is just like dark and gritty, and it's like, ugh, and you know that there's going to be stuff that's going to make you like wince and turn your head and not look at the screen for that scene. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I can't do that, but I can sit here and play Mortal Kombat, and I'm like trying to unlock every fatality for every character, because that's a video game and it's not real. It's not, like you said, we're talking about a dude that turns into a dragon. We're talking about a guy who has bone swords coming out of his arms. There's enough fantasy involved that my brain just says it's not real. But when I watch something like hell, there's a whole series my wife watches that's like based on real people, and I'm like, nope, nope, we're not doing it. A haunting in this, the exorcism, this, nope.
Okay.
We not channeling none of them demons.
So I
Can't
have
do it.
I have kind of an idea of some talking points here. And this will get, I think it'll give some we get off of just like FNAF or just like one topic, and we can jump from a few different movies, and it'll give people more time to like jump in and give their opinions for stuff too.
Cool.
So I have a list on, it's just Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. Their opinion of the 10 scariest horror movies ever. I don't necessarily agree with it, but to each their own. Anyway, I was going to start at 10. I was going to ask if you guys have seen it.
Okay. Probably not, but
And
let's try.
what did you, if y'all have seen it, and what's your opinion of it?
Okay.
So this one, let's see. Okay, so we'll start with it. The new one.
I was about to say original or remake?
Then the remake.
Yes, I have seen it. Saw both. Oh, Jeff, you muted.
Jeff, you're muted.
Say did not see it. Actively avoided everything about it.
David, I'm pretty sure you've seen it, or at least seen parts of it. I don't think I saw that one in theaters with you, did I?
Now, I did not see it in theaters. Nope, not doing that.
Okay.
Nope, got too much self-respect to put myself on display being a straight bitch.
Okay.
Not doing it.
Okay. So the next one, I think I saw it chapter 2 by myself, if I recall correctly. The next one is Insidious, which is, oh God, Insidious is like 13 years old already. It does not feel that old. Insidious stars Patrick Wilson.
Yes, damn it.
It's part of the Conjuring stuff or whatever.
See, my wife, Celeste loves that shit. She's seen all the Insidious, all the Annabelles.
I wanted to
your
see
wife and my wife need to become friends.
And there's another one in that series.
You have The Nun as part of it, and The Nun 2 is in theaters now.
Nope.
Okay, let's see. This one actually I haven't seen. Sinister. from 2012.
Doesn't even sound like something I would watch.
I never got around to that one.
Yeah.
I vaguely recall it, but never watched it. Please, anyone who's watching too, if you have opinions on these, feel free to type them in chat. We can go back to the comments.
Ooh, no. Hell no. Nope.
All right, so the next one, I know David's seen, and we honestly, all of us should have seen this one. The original Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis and all.
Yeah.
I saw H2O. But only because it was on my mom's. I was staying in New York that summer, and they had like the cable box, and that was one of the like pay-per-view movies that got released that month.
David and I saw one of the more recent Halloweens. I think it was the most recent one, David, in theaters, with Jamie Lee Curtis returning. The next one, The Ring, the American one.
I seen that one.
Parts of it.
I need to go back and rewatch The Ring.
If anybody try to put in a VHS around me, it better have a label on it.
I'm trying to
That's
tell
all I
you.
gotta say. The Ring was not.
But see,
It
it's
was
funny because
it was one of those ones for me that was like, it was weird, and it was just like, it was so weird that it held my attention, but I knew it was like crazy stuff going on. And it was just like the little stuff that was off-putting, like scratching people's faces out in the picture was where I was like, nah, I'm not feeling where this is going.
You know what really helps with The Ring and makes me not be able to take it seriously anymore is after watching Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Cindy, this bitch messing up my floor.
Yeah.
I love it.
Come on.
The TV's leaking. Okay, next one. And this one, I haven't seen this original, but I've seen the remake from, I think, the 2000s. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
I've seen.
I'm going to claim both. If you've seen the newer one or the older one.
I've seen one of them Texas Chainsaw Massacres.
I've seen the older one, but it was like it was a long time ago, and I think it was more like I was in the room while some people were watching it.
Right. I didn't watch it, but I've seen it.
I listened to the podcast.
Pretty much.
All right, so here's one that's a little bit different as far as like the kind of horror. The Shining.
Yes.
I need to see the original. I see the comment there. I've seen both originals better. I do need to go back and see the first one. I imagine it was better because the remake was iffy at best. So I was gonna say most of us here should have seen The Shining.
I read the Wikipedia page.
It barely counts as horror. Come on. Actually, personally,
See,
I like
that's the kind of thing though that like messes. That's the kind of thing that makes me have like bad dreams, where it's like overly visually like stimulating and captivating, and creating all kinds of crazy like visual imagery will have me more fucked up than just like people running through the woods and like somebody getting chased. So that's kind of what it was like. The twins, like all the imagery that I've seen from it, and I've seen like enough TV shows do like the Shining parodies where it's like I kind of get it. It's like eventually, like, yeah, I'll watch it probably, but maybe not. I don't know.
Like it would be okay if you didn't. I'll say that.
All right, so number 3 on the list is one we already talked about a little bit earlier. At least we mentioned The Conjuring. No,
wait,
so you haven't. Conjuring
part of Insidious and all that.
The Conjuring is the first one of the Conjuring cinematic universe.
Is that the same Patrick Wilson and his wife people?
I don't believe so.
Okay. If that's not part of that, then I've seen most of those.
No, it is because it's Patrick Wilson plays one of the Warrens. That's what it's based off of, is the Warrens' totally true life of all the haunted things that they've come across, and totally not things that they've just exploited for profit. That being said, I'm pretty sure none of you guys would mess with the real Annabelle doll if you came across it.
Absolutely not.
That's
Or
what I'm saying.
Robert
Like
doll.
they have that doll in that room on display in the little museum that you can go and visit.
Actually,
and I'm like, why would you go?
The original museum is closed. It's been closed for a while. They kind of like retired it, and I believe they're opening a new one where they're supposed to be moving a lot of objects too, including the new Annabelle doll. But don't quote me on that. The next one, I absolutely do not bet any of you guys have seen or would want to see it, and that is Hereditary. There is an actual Annabelle doll. It is a Raggedy
Yes.
Ann doll, and it
Yes.
is actually in the same kind of cabinet it shows in the movie that says, you know, absolutely like do not open this or whatever, and then it has the devil tarot card on it, the whole thing.
Yeah. And that I saw that part of it at the end of one of the movies. They do like a not really a recap, but they show you that like this is based on these real events and blah 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 blah. And during the closing credits, they take you on like a little tour of this the room where they have all this stuff stored, and you get to see that doll in there. And I was like, wait, I was like, that's real. She was like, yeah. I was like, nope. Turn this TV off. Why the hell are we watching real? Like, I need the fantasy element, not this real stuff. See, I told you about conjuring the demons. But Hereditary, surprisingly, yes. Not happy about it.
I have not gotten around to Hereditary yet.
Ooh,
I haven't watched a lot of horror in the last 5
I'm not
years.
good that I've seen that. That is, I don't like that. Like, when I say I don't like horror films, that's what I don't like. Now, I sat through the Insidious where the people was being possessed, and I've seen some Exorcist stuff.
Sam says, don't put that evil on me.
Basically, like I said, do not invite that evil in. I
So,
can do ghosts. I
speaking
demons and
speaking
spirits.
of which, you want to hear something fun? You know the Ghost Adventurers, right? They're like the frat bros of the ghost hunting shows.
Yes.
Hey, yo, dude, bro, ghost, come at me. You know, that kind of shit, right?
Right.
I ain't scared of you. That kind of shit, right? So,
bro, look, he just touched my hand. Look, he touched my hand.
And then any excuse to take Zach's shirt off. Yo, bro, he just scratched my back. He just scratched my back.
Right. That's why we had Travel Channel.
By the way, I believe it's come out recently that the back scratches were fake. But anyway,
shocking.
So one of the people, I believe it was Aaron, it was the bald guy. Supposedly from like their first episode that they did, had something attached to him and follow him back, and all this bad luck followed him. He ended up getting divorced, and he was like, it's a whole bunch of crap that's kept happening to him. So there you go. Yeah, he apparently invited that evil on him. I always felt so bad because Zach and the other guy, I can't remember his name. He's actually the non-douchebag of the group.
Right.
Well, I guess Zach is the douchebag. The other two are not. Poor Aaron is just he came in as like a camera guy. He didn't come in as a paranormal researcher or anything. And they kept using him as bait for things because they needed someone who was more susceptible to it. And apparently he is. I'm like, you guys are so mean. That poor man. But okay, so number one,
it was Zach,
Nick, that's it. Nick apparently came out with like a whole tell-all. He was telling stuff earlier this year or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't watch these things thinking it's actually true. So anyway, number one on the list is The Exorcist, the original one.
Yeah. Actually, I think when I was younger, it was like required viewing for like a rites of passage for horror films. When that was back when it was like, you know, you had to be cool if you go to the co-ed slumber party and everything, or you know, it's like, oh, we're gonna watch The Exorcist because it's a scary movie. It was also like, you know, get on this roller coaster because everybody was doing it. So like, sure, I'm an adult now. Fuck that. I don't want to do it. It's stupid. It's scary. I'm not watching it. I'm good. Not doing that.
I don't much care for the list. It to me it panders too much to very specific classics. like The Exorcist. That kind of stuff doesn't hold up well. I prefer lists that will take more recent horror into account. And if it does include an older one, have it be something that actually does hold up somehow. So let's see. For
You know
instance, like
what?
here's
I want
one
to. I think
that
Celeste was watching the
has,
autopsy of Jane Doe, which is another like exorcism type thing. And I was
I like
like, I
The
came
Exorcism
in.
of Emily Rose. That's the one I like. The exorcism ones, at least.
I came in. I looked at the screen. I saw what she was looking at. I was like, what is this? And I think she got like the autopsy. Nope. And I was just like, all right, I'm gonna be downstairs.
But
You
like
enjoy that.
this, like I found another list here that has Megan on it from this year.
I did watch Megan.
Yeah. So like, let's see. I'm just gonna scroll randomly.
See,
I
and
took
Megan,
Grudge.
Megan almost falls into like Black Mirror territory.
The
Yeah,
Descent. Ooh, that's a bad one.
tech horror is like
Different.
I feel like another thing where where they kind of lean on slasher so much that like low key like Terminator 1 is like a scary movie.
Now you
Yeah.
want to
It's just
hear
like go ahead.
you want to hear a pet peeve of mine movie that pops up on a lot of scariest movie ever's lists, which I just don't understand. And that's The Babadook. That was released on Netflix, I believe, in 2014.
Really?
And it is the cheesiest, stupidest, boringest horror movie I've ever watched. And I just, everyone, oh my God, it's so scary. How is it scary? How is the acting in it is absolutely god awful.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Exactly.
Is
That's
that
how I feel
the-
to sneeze.
Okay, so
It's the one
now
with the cartoon like boogeyman.
right, and it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I remember as a kid, there was okay, so there's what's the artist? There's the artist, he draws really weird not where where the wild things are, not that. Where the sidewalk ends or some shit like that.
Shel Silverstein.
Yeah.
Yes. Didn't he do like a horror one? Is the Babadook his?
I'm not
Or like
sure.
there was something like you know what? Let me hop on Google real quick, see what I can come up with. Because I remember there was like a this would have been in like the late 80s, early 90s. There was something, and I feel like the Babadook was based on that. It was like, okay, wait, here we go. The Tally Po, is that books, children books, fairy tale, folk tales, and myth. The Tally Po, a ghost story. Paul Goldone. I remember that being around the same time.
Apparently, it's based off of a short film that the director had made called Monster. It's probably just it's your generic boogeyman. That's all it is.
See, I feel like when I see that little image, something else comes to mind. Like, I think to me, something like Slender Man would probably be scarier in terms of concept and theme.
Slender Man can be kind of just creepy when you're playing the game, especially when it's chasing you. And like, I'm just let me live, please. Depending on which Slender Man game you're playing.
I mean, just the way that thing moves, the images of that. Because like when I think about horror, like so we mentioned The Ring. What was the other one where the little boy was crawling down the stairs funky?
The Grudge.
See that? Yeah. Jeff, you muted.
The Grudge.
Yeah.
I said the wrong name first, and then I pretended like I said the right name.
No, you good. Like when I see something like that, that trailer was enough to make me be like, nope, I'm not watching that.
Here you go. You want to hear a great example of an old horror movie that holds up and is like still holds up today and is still really fucking creepy. Freaks from 1932.
Yes. Oh my God. I had to watch that movie in college.
I'm sorry.
Sued the teacher.
Oh my god. It's that one's absolutely I can't do it. There's one I'm trying to think. What is it? Is it called Mother?
Is that
Yes,
where all the
Mother
women get?
with
No.
Jennifer Lawrence, which I was so surprised. I just happened to come across it on Netflix one day,
Was that the one where
and
they were like wolf children or something?
no, that was I know which one you're talking about. La Llorona, I think. No,
Mother, ain't she like on a farm or something?
the
I'm picturing
mother.
her in like a milkmaid dress for some
She's
reason.
no, she is isolated, at least to start with. But she is the pregnant wife of an author, I think. I want to say it's an author. I forget. The guy does something, and more and more people become more and more enamored with her. And it's. I don't want to say a whole lot because I'm going to end up spoiling stuff. And it is a really interesting movie. Um, it's a slow burn as far as the creepiness factor goes. It's mostly just kind of unsettling up to a point, and then it skyrockets. Ooh, especially with the baby, it skyrockets.
Mm,
And that's the most I want to say there.
mm.
I will say I've had the misfortune of seeing Cannibal Holocaust, amongst other
Yeah.
movies that are worse than that I will not mention because I do not wish to be put on a
I'm gonna
list.
tell you, those two words together would be an indication I wasn't gonna watch that.
I'm gonna throw one out that's not scary, but it's creepy. That I feel like I don't know. Maybe it wasn't like a great movie, but it creeped me out. Beloved. I don't know if anybody's seen that. It's based on the book by Toni Morrison, and it's about basically Oprah Winfrey plays a woman who is set in like post slavery,
Mhm.
and I guess during slavery, Oprah runs away with her children, and when they catch her, basically instead of her just like bringing her children back to slavery, she like basically tries to like kill them, and one of the daughters like she doesn't like get to, so she just like lives, and then one of the daughters ends up being killed, but then like her spirit somehow comes back when they're like all grown, and she's like basically the grown spirit of her daughter, but really doing like a lot of creepy supernatural stuff to like bend uh all the other main characters to her will. It was very, very bizarro. The book is a difficult read because every chapter is told from a different person's perspective and they never tell you who's talking. So it takes like 3 pages of reading to figure out who's talking in every chapter. But Toni Morrison does that on purpose because she wants to make people read her stuff over and over. And she was a great writer and her stuff deserves it. So definitely suggest the book if you like reading. I would be curious to hear what people's thoughts were on the film, though, because I just remember it being super, super creepy. There's one very famous scene with Danny Glover where she has him entranced, and some things of a sexual nature happen, and Danny Glover's acting performance in that is like you've never wanted to see Danny Glover this way. I can tell you that.
No, no one asked for that. No one asked for that. Um,
I mean, it's just Danny Glover
so
is like two people to me, Mister and Murtaugh. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And anything else is just like I don't care enough about either one of those characters to see them do anything than those roles. So
And that was the
have
other weird thing too, because it was like this role was so close to like Mister that it was like I'm supposed to be feeling bad for you, but all I see is you like beating up Whoopi Goldberg. Like I'm
right.
I'm having a hard time putting you in this movie outside of instead of that one.
I mean, I'm looking at the cast and I'm like, you know what? I don't recall it, but I will. Damn, 2 hours. 52 minutes. Okay, 3-hour movie. I was like, damn, that's a lot happening in this
He's like,
movie.
you know what? Yeah, I think I'll check it. Wait.
But no, I mean, I'll put it on the.
It has a mini series.
I definitely I'll add it to the watch list. Like it deserves a view. Especially if you like you want to get someone else's opinion. Okay, cool. I'll make it a point to check it out.
So, question: I expect this answer to be a no from everyone. Human Centipede.
Oh nope.
Oh no!
I didn't even
David,
have
have
to
you
see that
have you
movie.
watched Human Centipede, David?
It got memed enough that I didn't need to see it.
I have watched all 3 movies.
Why?
Because the third one was fucking funny.
See that falls into that realm of like
I don't
gore / possibly unnecessary gross.
I don't remember the second one. No, I do remember the second one. Never mind. I wish I didn't.
Like I
That
said,
falls into those categories like Cannibal Holocaust, where I wish I'd never seen it, but I have, and I can't take that back. That's one of the reasons why, unless I'm absolutely looking for gore, I like to stick with my psychological horrors.
I'm with that. I can.
So, like, I love Jacob's Ladder. I love Session 9. I love Melancholia. There's a lot of really good ones out there. Just, I love psychological horror stuff in general. It's just so much fun. Because you're sitting there the whole time trying to figure out what's going to happen, what's going on, and it's great. I still stand behind the fact that the Silent Hill movies would have been fantastic movies if they weren't Silent Hill, because they had everything they needed, and they changed so much of it. They changed it into something else completely. So the Silent Hill movies are good if you pretend like it's not Silent Hill.
So where does something like Shutter Hill fall? I mean, Shutter Island, not Shutter Hill.
Shutter Island. Same thing with your psychological thriller, and I'd say it's that psychological thriller rather than horror.
Okay.
So there's the difference there. You have your psychological thriller, which is something that's just intense and suspenseful, and then obviously your horror is going to be horror.
See,
I did like Shutter Island.
See, it's like, it had a little bit of a twist and whatnot. So it's like, okay, I like that. And I'm with you. I'm definitely along the who done it. Let me see if I can figure it out before it finishes. And that's what I'm saying about the one movie. That was a twist, like on the menu. That was a twist I did not, well, not twist, but I could not predict that ending. And anytime it's like anybody can go in a movie, I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like having these predetermined role, like that would be the cool thing about doing a movie and getting the right cast and having enough big names that you could technically drop anybody and whoever survives is still a big enough name to be like they made it. Because maybe somebody's rooting for this person or that person or, whatever the case may be. But it's like, you come in, especially like if you're like us and you've seen enough TV shows, enough movies, enough, you just seen so much, you can predict a lot of this stuff because that's how the story's written. And like hell, Celeste and I were watching Psych the other day, and they did this. It was like this character, something happened, and I was like, it's that guy. He's gonna be the one. She was like, what? I was like, because they made a whole big deal about his title. So like this guy introduces himself and he's CIA and he gives like a very simple title. And then they just introduce this guy and this is John. And he's like, what? So you're such and such and such, but he's just John. And then John gives his name and his title. And it's like a ridiculously long explanation of who he is and what his title is and whatnot. And he's like, oh, okay, yes, I see why he's just John. I was like, yep, it's that guy. Watch, he'll be the bad guy. And sure enough, John was the bad guy. She was like, how did you? I was like, because he's a nobody character and they made a big deal about nothing for this character just so you could focus in on him.
Right.
When we're watching these movies, I start paying attention to all the little minute details in the background, and you catch one or two of those, and like you'll figure it out before it's done. And so it's like I'm drawn to the movies where I can try to figure it out, and if I can that's engaging to me. It can actually be something that classifies as horror as long as there's something to keep my attention and I can figure out. I can focus on that part and not the scary stuff. That's how you trick me into watching scary stuff. So when we were watching like this couple and seeing what's happening, I'm and what was the name, Patrick Wilson's character and the wife?
The Warrens.
The Warrens. Where we're watching Mr. and Mrs. Warren go to this asylum where this kid like just shows up at home and he's like covered in blood. His hands have blood all over him, and he doesn't remember anything about how he got covered in blood. They obviously admit him to a psych ward, and then the Warrens show up and they're going to talk with him in the psych ward. And the wife, who's a psychic and can like channel spirits and stuff, she walks in the room and immediately she's like, oh no, there's something here. Fast forward 10 minutes into the scene and like beds are shaking and it's coming up off the floor and this, that, and the other. And you're sitting here watching like, man, okay, stop. Really? This is what happened. Because they're giving a live action account of, retelling the story. Now, obviously they've played up a lot for the movie, but essentially they're saying that like this stuff really happened. And you get through it, and ultimately you find out that while there is a spiritual element to it, there's a bad guy also. And so anytime you have an opportunity to like find the bad guy, I'm always going to try to pick out who the bad guy is. If we don't know, I want to figure it out. That'll hold my attention. So when I watch the Saw movies, I am always curious about like who he wants to kill and why. Some people, they just need to learn a lesson and they can live. Other people, it's too late for you to learn the lesson. You got to die.
I mean, that's kind of where some of his apprentices end up going wrong. Spoiler alert not for Saw 10. I won't spoil Saw 10, but that's why you end up having some of his apprentices, or actually pretty much all of his apprentices, aside from one of them, and you guys know who I'm talking about, end up rigging traps because they don't think like either the person's a cop or just in general they don't think that there's someone that can be redeemed or they did them wrong. So that's why when you'll have that, and it's still not what Jigsaw himself believes. So his traps are supposedly 100% can go either way. You can live or die. He literally means make your choice. Do you want to sacrifice whatever it is? Now, I think some definitely are more fair than others. So there are some traps that I'm pretty sure the average person can survive with little to no issue.
I remember one of the traps that just sticks out of my mind is there's a helmet and the key is inside the acid and you got to reach in to grab the key out.
You're mixing up too. The acid was from the rib cage one, and that was a rigged trap.
Okay.
Because the woman, she was strung up and then she had this thing around her rib cage that was locked in. And she had to get the key out of the acid. She had to reach up and get the key out of the jar of acid and then unlock herself. And she did, because that just reaching into acid. And I mean, I say that like, but still compared to like having to saw things out of your arm or having to like cut your leg off or something, that there's a difference there. One, your hand is slightly deformed. The other one, you need a prosthetic leg. If you don't die from blood loss. So, right. But whenever she got it unlocked, she realized there was no way to get it off, and the timer went off, and she died. So that's what that one was. Now They have the reverse bear trap, and then they have let's see, in the reverse bear trap, the person did end up surviving and became one of Jigsaw's apprentices. And the other one, which is it's an Iron Maiden on their head. I think that's the other one you were thinking of. I believe he had to cut the key out from underneath his eye, if I recall correctly.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. In either case, it's like some of these was gory for the sake of being gory, and then some of them were like, will he learn the lesson? Can they get out? Can she get out? Or whatever the case may be. And those I can be okay with. But some of the other ones, like we can't. I don't know. Saw is one of those that's like, I like the first one. I absolutely like the first one. The second one was good as well. I probably would have liked the third one. I didn't see it. And then the next Saw I saw after that, I was like, yeah, we're not doing this.
Because you've missed the third one. The third one is so just integral to the entire franchise.
Okay.
You have to watch they're all on Hulu, except for Spiral's on HBO. Or no, Amazon. Spiral's on Amazon.
Spiral is the one with Chris Rock, right?
No, that's
Jigsaw.
No, I saw Jigsaw, not Spiral. Jigsaw's on only on Amazon. I just started Spiral.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of these are like on, I think they're on Peacock, actually. I think like the first 7.
Yeah, the first 7 plus Spiral are on HBO or on Hulu. For some reason, you just have the one that isn't, which is kind of annoying. Which it would count as number 8.
And I do see it on Peacock. So we got Saw 1. Let me just randomly put in Saw 5. Peacock. So let's see, Saw 8. Because I feel like it was the first. Saw 8 is Jigsaw, which is on Prime, as you just said. And then what is Saw 9? Which story is that? Saw 9 is Spiral. That one's on Hulu. And Saw X is theaters?
Yes, theaters.
Yep, still in theaters. Currently playing. I could go see it tomorrow at 2:15, 5 p.m. or 7:45. Yeah, but actually, you know what? Somebody that I know is a big fan of horror is a friend of mine. Well, you know him, Shay. Could not stop raving about Saw.
Saw 10 was really good.
Yeah, like had a lot of good things to say about Saw 10. Really happy with it, apparently. And so it's just like, okay, well, you know, if I was into scary movies, that would be the way to go. But since I'm not, I may actually go back and check out Saw 3 though. But then it's kind of like, damn, do I got to rewatch Saw 1? No, I'm going to read Saw 1 and 2 wiki page and just recap myself and be caught up again. But I don't need to Which one had the vat of like pig's blood?
It wasn't a vat. It was, and this was in Saw 4, I want to say. Yeah, Saw 4. It wasn't a vat of pig's blood. There was the judge of a case that was in the bottom of a vat that had pigs that were being ground up and launched onto him and was going to drown him so it didn't start as a vat.
Okay.
That was filled with pig's blood. It slowly filled up with pig blender.
Yeah.
Pig
I was
smoothie,
like, bro, what is we doing? I'm not doing
bacon
this.
Smoothie.
Oh man!
And the
don't
reason
do that. Don't do that.
it's because it was this other guy going through doing tests, and he had kind of ended up going kind of bonkers, as one would after something traumatic like this happens, because his kid had died. Right, his kid had been killed in a hit and run, and they did find the person who killed the kid. Obviously, it was an accident. The judge let him off with 6 months. So instead of destroying 2 lives, he just destroyed 1. That was the reasoning behind it. So this was the judge that was in the bottom of this vat, and the father had a choice to either save all of his son's possessions that he had hung on to for all these years in like a shrine in his room, or burn those items and save the judge. So he was forced to burn the items to save the judge. Only to have the judge die anyway, but that was from something else.
Yeah. I think the last horror movie that I saw that I think qualifies, well, the last movie I saw that I liked, that I do believe still qualifies as a horror movie, was Ethan Hawke, The Black Phone.
I have not seen it, but I recall.
I think that was the name of that, Black Phone. And that one is a, yeah, well, see, that falls as drama horror. It's got some scary moments. It's got some creepy stuff. The mask is totally terrifying. But that doesn't fall in the same category as like, because I'll definitely say, like, I don't care for gory. Like, I definitely have a preference for like less gore. If you want to scare me, like, scare me. Don't just gross me out. You know, and that's why I won't watch, like, I don't need to watch Human Centipede. Like I said, it's been memed enough. It was memed before memes were memes. So I already know I don't need to see that. Just seeing like gauze here and there, we're good. But something like Black Phone, where it has the element of like fear, if you will. And the whole time, of course, it's like, you know, I'm really trying to like figure out what's going to happen.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing right now, but I'm using an app that's usually used for, what do you call it? For like work from home, Zoom meetings and stuff to try and cancel out, like do noise canceling, right? And I guess after like 2 hours, it, like, if you don't end the call, it'll like restart a thing at the timer, and it opened up another window, and it did like a transcribe of the of our call so far.
Oh, wow.
So it gave me action items: David to get lemonade from the fridge.
Wow.
Attend Five Nights at Freddy's movie premiere dressed up as characters from the game, and in parentheses, participants.
So, okay. So it was trying to put everything on your Google Calendar. You got the whole Outlook to-do list.
It says explore fairer ways of sharing streaming accounts among family members. And then it shows a detailed summary underneath, having things like beverage request, David is asked to get lemonade from the fridge.
Okay.
Echoing request. The participants are concerned about echoing in the room and its impact of their conversation. And just scrolling down, murderous animatronics. The group discussed how animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's are possessed by children's souls who are murdered by William Afton, one of the main characters in the game. They explain that these animatronics attack anyone who is inside a pizzeria or other location where they are located. This is creepy.
You turn that AI off. Like, Alexa, stop listening. Damn.
Jigsaw traps.
One
member explained the concept behind jigsaw traps and the Saw franchise.
Nope, we good. We good.
Ghost
so we got a question because I do not need your calendar like recapping all of the horror stuff for you to put it on a calendar as a to-do list. No. Where did you say Final Destination falls?
Final Destination is along that with Saw. So
Okay, so it's
it's
got like the survival suspense, not so much
um
gore horror.
it's no, it's not a slasher, is what I was saying.
Right.
It is a gory thriller.
I think that technically falls under like supernatural because like not I won't
Well,
go as far as to
it's
say the
like
Grim Reaper, but death is chasing them.
I
And
know, but it's death is spoken more or less in the abstract than
right.
anything else, and it's I don't know, it's the reason why I would say it's the gore thriller or suspense or whatever, right? Is because it does give you something to try and think about what's going to happen next. It's a
Yeah.
thinker where you're constantly trying to figure out, oh, what's going to happen, and the movie becomes self-aware over time, and it gives you tons of red herrings as you get later on in the franchise.
Yeah. I mean it definitely the idea that I think Jeff had made the comment earlier where like, let's just see how we can murder a bunch of people. When you watch Final Destination, they got pretty creative throughout this series. And every death kind of felt like a game of mousetrap where, you had these what's that? Bog Stratton? Is that the no Higgs? Braxton Higgs. What's the thing called? Where you
For what
like
again?
where you like you drop a ball, it goes down a chute, it knocks over something, and then the chain reaction devices. What are those called?
Oh,
Braxton Hicks.
no, that's a pregnancy thing, I
I
think.
know, like help me out. Jeff, you muted.
Yeah, Braxton Hicks are fake contractions.
Okay, what's the other one? Bog Stratton. I feel like that's a lawnmower.
No, you're making it worse, Sam.
I right. Help me out.
Um,
Murphy bed. I'm just kidding. Rube Goldberg.
Rude
there it is.
Goldberg. Thank you. Thank you. But it feels
Braxton
like
Hicks.
every one of the deaths in Final Destination suddenly became a Rube Goldberg device. And it was literally like, how would this meaningless action here butterfly into this horrendous death over here? And it got to be at some point, I think like the directors or the writers were like having a contest to see who could get the most creative with it. And some of those are pretty fantastic. Like in the context of like, okay, come on, that come on. But it did make it very interesting.
I would be
definitely enjoy
interested
those.
to see what the numbers are on like car crashes with those lumber trucks before and after that movie. Because I feel like after Final
Absolutely
Destination,
reduced.
nobody. I see people
I've
doing
seen
all kinds of crazy driving.
I've seen little TikToks here and there of like ones that are similar,
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's
if
horrible.
it's
I
if
hate
it's
it.
tubes, if it's a tube, any kind of long way, and I'm not trees, pipes, nothing. I'm not behind that car.
Yeah, because
And
they did something similar with PVC pipe as well
yeah,
in one of the
yeah,
movies.
I think it's a pretty safe assumption that anybody over the age of like 16 knows not to drive behind log trucks because Final Destination has been out long enough at this point. And if you need to like get some room on the interstate, just get behind the log truck and you will have all the space you need. Because nobody's gonna get in front of you. Nobody's gonna get between you and the log truck.
I feel like even like kids who haven't seen it, I'm sure their parents, when they taught them how to drive, were like, never get behind log truck."
Never.
It's traumatized multiple generations.
I mean, honestly, I would even say things like just seeing like floor mats in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Like little shower rugs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. Final Destination to have you like baby proofing your house, being on your P's and Q's as you walk through. Um, man, there is a lot of scary stuff that apparently I am willing to watch, but I do have my limits, and I don't know. I will give Five Nights. I will give Five Nights a shot. I will absolutely give it a shot, and I will see if I can give it a shot on what day did you say?
Next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Next Thursday, 7 p.m.
at Movie Tavern. I also posted it in our chat, by the way.
Okay.
It even has our seats that we're going to be sitting at. So
very cool. I will create an event in our group around that. So anybody that is interested in trying to attend, it will be listed. It will be posted. I'm going to list David and Linda as hosts for said event since they will be there. Is that okay with y'all? Let me check. Make sure. Okay. I will list them as hosts for said event since they will be there and they already have their tickets. I will actually put forth the effort to try to get out there on Thursday. Work has been
I tried to get the latest showing possible, and that was the latest showing they had.
I got you. Click that QR code there in the corner, and that will take you to our Facebook group as well as all of our other socials. You can use that to, find out where we are, get the details, and get the information about this upcoming event. And I think we need to try to plan some other events, and we need to get out. We need to go do some stuff. Like we'll have to pick a Dave and Buster's night because I understand like Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday nights. It's like $20 night, unlimited wings and games or something like that.
We got to see what's going on with round one. Of course, that means we can't go to Stonecrest anymore. We have to go all the way over to Cumberland, but still.
Is the round one at Stonecrest closed?
Yeah, the one at Stonecrest closed.
I did not know that. No. I have not been to Stonecrest in quite some time.
It's gone.
That is a shame, man. I was just thinking about bowling the other day. Well, nonetheless, we will see about getting some stuff planned here. But that is, you know what? Thank you, because I wanted to get the spooky stuff out. I wanted to. You had me interested when you were talking about. I was like, "Ooh, let's talk about some spooky stuff." And isn't there a new season of American Horror Story right now?
There is. I have not started watching it yet. I'm letting a few episodes get out because and I may even let the whole thing play and just binge it because I have zero faith in this season. I have like 5% faith in this season only because Ryan Murphy can't write Mary Sue characters because it's someone else who's written and I believe directed it. Ryan Murphy may have directed it, but I'd have to double check. But the fact that they put Kim Kardashian in a prominent role makes my faith plummet completely.
Fair enough.
So, but yes, there's American Horror Story that's out. American Horror Stories, I believe, will be due after that. That one I'm looking forward to a little more.
I know my wife and sister were trying to figure out which season they needed to go back to start watching again because with the new one coming out, they were both talking about it, but couldn't remember where they left off. Both of them could remember seeing parts of the season with Lady Gaga. They could not recall if they finished it, so I just suggested we start on the season after that.
Yeah, just like you can even just start with Hotel with Lady Gaga, or Lady Gaga's in two different ones. She's in Hotel, she's in Roanoke, which is the one right after.
Probably start with Roanoke just because
if you blink, you'll miss her in Roanoke.
Okay, then that would probably be the way to go because Hotel was Hotel, and they knew a lot when they were kind of recapping. But so yeah, we'll try to see about Five Nights at Freddy, and given that it's not rated R, I'm like, okay, can't be that bad. Can't be that bad. I can probably handle that.
Listen, you handled Willy's Wonderland, you'll be fine.
Yeah, but I was like middle of the day on my sofa, Willy's Wonderland. This would be like around other people, and they get to see me like be embarrassed because I was scared.
Just pet David's fuzzy arm.
No, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna conveniently have to like get something out of my bag every time
because there's going to be jump scares.
Of course,
it's FNAF. There's going to be jump scares.
That's the part I'm not interested in. But We will see about
I'm
next
wanting
Thursday.
David to pop up at some point just to scare people.
All right, we'll see. There you go. And he'll even be dressed as Freddy Fazbear.
Yeah.
Even better. Well, folks, that is going to do it for tonight. That is our spooky season episode here. I want to thank Linda, aka the Coca-Cola Shark, David, Heroic Hat on everything, Mr. 1 million on his TikTok. That's what I'm talking about. My man got 1 million
1
views.
million views.
1 million views on his TikTok. That's pretty impressive. And it's a good TikTok too, because I am absolutely that energy drink person. Like that is me. I'm probably gonna stitch your video and see. I probably won't get a million views, but
I'm debating on making that a character.
I mean, the caffeine goblin seems legit.
Yeah.
Like I have to say, the caffeine goblin.
I told David the only thing is that next time he does something like that, he needs to let his dreads fall instead of having them up in the cap.
Shake your dreads. Okay, but that would actually work. That would have made sense. But yeah, the caffeine goblin. I'm probably gonna stitch that while I hold my case of Red Bull. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I definitely understand that. So congratulations on that. JPNT17.com got a hell of a shout out. I'm trying to get the views boosted on that because everybody seems to like my custom, and I'm gonna keep saying my exclusive ass Spider-Punk shirt. But I did let people know if they want to get their own Spider-Punk shirt, be sure to check out JPNT17.com. A lot of great merchandise on there, and you too can have a Spider-Punk t-shirt. Then I won't be exclusive anymore because someone else will have one. But in the meantime, I think I'm the only one that's got that. So yeah. Of course, find me. I'm Elder Geek Sam. You can check me out. Trying to get my TikTok to blow up, but I'm always welcoming people to our group on Facebook. We're a collection of content creators, and we just want to keep the community growing, and we like doing this type of stuff. So be sure to like, subscribe, share all of our collective content, and that's going to do it for tonight. Any closing thoughts or words? Anybody got anything else they want to say?
Go watch Five Nights at Freddy's.
Go watch Five Nights at Freddy's. Come watch Five Nights at Freddy's with us next Thursday. We'll definitely try to get on that. Well, for Jeffrey, David, Linda, and myself, Sam, we're Grown A Geeks, and we are out of here. Peace.